Yo, what's going on, guys? DJS here. Wanted to bring you guys a Game of Thrones episode 3 from season 4 recap. It was called Breaker of Chains. First, I didn't understand what the name was, but of course it makes sense if you watch the entire episode. Towards the end of the episode, there is some significance there, with chains being broken and slaves being freed, and sort of the freedom kind of aspect of things. But there was a lot of things that occurred during this episode. I'll just try to recap them the best I can. There's some things that are definitely confusing to me, and I'm sure that you guys will probably have more information, but this is just kind of my take on it, and some of my opinions and thoughts on the episode. So it starts off at King's Landing, and Sansa ends up basically fleeing as soon as Joffrey is killed, and she's fleeing with Dantos, and who I actually didn't know who that one was. It makes more sense now. But Dantos basically has her flee on a boat and takes her out to Lord Baelish, which is that one kind of sleazy dude that owns a whorehouse. And he ends up repaying Dantos by shooting him in the head with an arrow. Not a nice way to repay, but that's what he ends up doing. No idea what's going to end up happening to Sansa. No idea the motivation for him basically kidnapping Sansa, other than maybe the fact that he wants to marry her, so he can have some sort of royal, I don't know, some sort of royal, like affiliation or something. I really don't get it. I don't understand that, but that stuff will kind of make sense, I think, later on in future episodes. Then you end up seeing that Marjorie's talking with her mom, and you find out that the marriage was not consummated, meaning they didn't do the deed, and they never had sexual relations. As a result, she's not going to be queen, and that makes sense. So those that were wondering if it was her or not, it doesn't make any sense if it was her or her crazy mom, who I like. Her crazy mom is dope. And now here, look at him. I'm in the spawn pretty deep over here. But yeah, so that was kind of crappy. And it was the second time this ended up happening to her. The other pseudo guy that she had as kind of a not her husband, or yeah, I guess it was something that she married. Ended up getting killed or whatever, and now this ends up happening. She's like, she feels like she has horrible luck, which is true. Then basically the king ends up talking, well, not the king, Joffrey's dad ends up talking to his little brother about what a king needs and what makes a good king, and he basically talks a bunch of crap and says that Joffrey wasn't what they needed, or wasn't going to be a good king, and the kid says, like, wisdom is something that a good king will need and stuff, and he's like, yep, that's correct. So it's like it's you could tell that the dad is just going to be trying to groom this kid into becoming the type of leader that he wants. His main word of advice is you can have a you can become a leader that listens to the leaders that were in the same position before you, and then a really wise king even listens to him after that. And I was like, well, that's crazy. So there's that, and then all of a sudden, Jaime comes in and tells everybody to leave. This is all happening at over Joffrey's dead body, basically, and she's grieving, and she basically just ends up getting raped from Jaime, which totally was a curveball. Like, it's crazy because you're starting to like Jaime, you're liking his situation, you think he's kind of like more of a stand-up guy, especially after his long journey, losing his hand, and his frustration is taken out on Cersei, his sister, and he ends up raping her, and it's just kind of weird. Like, you kind of feel more sorry for her in that sort of situation, but at the same time, like, it's kind of like him being like, see, I'm still a man, sort of, I guess. I really don't understand why they went in that direction, but it was kind of interesting, an interesting move nonetheless. Not one where I was too happy about, because you just started liking the guy, and all of a sudden stuff like this ends up happening, so it's kind of unfortunate. And then the kind of last couple scenes in that area, King's Landing, there's a big orgy with the Prince of Berian, or whatever the hell his name is, and then Tywin Lannister, the father of Joffrey, comes in and basically squashes the beef between the two families. He wants to have him on the council or something like that for the trial of the midget dude. It's so inappropriate to call him that, but he basically wants to be on their side because he's aware of all the things happening with the Dragon Lady and the White Walkers and all this stuff, and he knows he needs his people along on their side. So it's kind of an interesting twist, seeing him kind of be more vulnerable and asking for help in a sense, and I thought that was kind of interesting to see. He really is after the best for the family, whether it's being weak in moments or being completely irrational at other moments. So very, very cool scene from Tywin. And from Tyrion, I believe is the midget's name. He basically is in this position where Cersei wants him dead, and she thinks that he did it. She doesn't want to wait for a trial. She wants Jaime to kill him, and I don't think Jaime's going to want to do that. I mean, he just doesn't seem interested. He likes his little brother, and that's kind of where that is. Then Podrick, which is his servant, Tyrion's servant, basically says that he was offered, I guess, to be a knight or something to that effect, in order to basically throw him under the bus, and he turned down that offer. And I don't know, he's basically probably going to get killed, it sounds like. I mean, I'm not really sure where it's going to go, but it's really interesting, and it's cool to see that Podrick is such a loyal, I guess, servant to Tyrion. And it makes you feel bad for Tyrion, because you know he seems like more of the most caring individual that's out there, despite what other people might think about him. Moving on to the north, there was some situations where Sam is teased, and people think he's lying about killing the White Walker. Also, that he's afraid that there's hundreds of people there, hundreds of dudes, and then one chick, and he's afraid that she's going to get raped, and so he ends up moving her to a whorehouse and is going to be cleaning the whorehouse. But it seems like that's not all she's going to be doing there, probably. So it's going to be an interesting situation. But he says it's for her best interest. We'll see, I guess, soon enough. And then kind of after that, the Wildling party, there is a Wildling party that moves forward, and the redheaded chick's with that party, and they destroy a village, and they send a boy messenger to Castle Black telling them what they did, and basically saying we're going to eat everybody and all this other stuff. So they kind of get an idea who they are and what they're doing. But it sounds like, and this part is the part that I was really confused by, it sounds like they want to be pulling the sources away from the wall. And then maybe if they pull the sources away from the wall, then they can make a full attack. But I guess I didn't understand that part of it. Regardless, it seems like they're going to be in a tough situation of, are they going to go after X, Y, or Z people, or are they going to stay and protect the wall? There's not enough people there, and it seems like they're going to be hit with the brunt of all of the craziness once it starts happening. Obviously, because they're the guardians of the wall. At Dragonstone, Stannis basically thinks that Joffrey is dead because of the blood and the burning leeches and whatnot. That was just a quick little flash to that area, and I don't know, that was kind of an interesting thing. I don't think anything was related to that. You don't really know who killed Joffrey, but at the same time, you're like, well, that was interesting. These guys really think that they're doing all this magic stuff, and maybe they are. Who knows? In Riverlands, you get a look at Hound and Arya again, and as soon as you start feeling like the Hound is making his way to be good, then basically this guy takes him in, and he ends up hitting the dude over the head and stealing his silver, and he's like, the guy's weak, he's gonna die no matter what, and a dead man can't spend any silver. And Arya was all pissed at him, but it was kind of an interesting thing. Moving on to the last part, which is across the Narrow Sea. Daenerys is basically a badass, and Dario is the guy that fights on her behalf as they approach this new area, I believe, where they killed all of the slave children and had them all on the mile markers and stuff. And basically, he fights this guy on a horse, and she's like, "You want a horse?" He's like, "No, I don't need one." He throws a dagger in the horse's eye. The horse takes a tumble, and he just slices the dude in half. Or he slices the dude and kills him. I was like, this guy's a badass, and I think she thought the same thing. I'm pretty sure they're going to be banging pretty soon. But pretty awesome thing that happened. And then they fire the barrels into the castle, and they're full of all the slave collars from all of the people that are now on her side. So it basically ends it there, and you know that she's going to probably wreak havoc on this town and get a bunch more slaves on her side. But that's pretty much it, dude. That's the recap of the episode. Hope you guys liked the video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. But I'm excited to see where this takes us going forward, and looking forward to the next episode of Game of Thrones. Later, guys. Peace.